motion to resume the public session? Motion please, Dr. Richards and Ms. Kites, all in favor? Vote is unanimous. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. The pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. GC Brown. The microphone is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, President Petensky, Superintendent Daly, and members of the board. It's my pleasure to present the GC Pride Award tonight. So 4 years ago, we needed a new building reading teacher at Neil Armstrong. And I took that task very seriously, trying to find a new building reading teacher, because as a reading teacher myself and a building reading teacher at this building, it's really near and dear to my heart. And I have to say that we found Cassidy Daly, and she has met every expectation and then some for me and for our whole school building and our student population here. So I just have to say that Cassidy is a real leader in our building. She serves on our building equity team, on our district MTSS team, on our building leadership team, our ELA task force, and many others. She's really dedicated to our school and to our students. In addition, she has led numerous professional development sessions for our teachers. She stays current in literacy, and her membership on the Rochester Area Literacy Council is an example of her dedication to being a lifelong learner. Cassidy is always there to help out in any way she can. She intuitively knows what to do and helps at the times we need her most. She is a kind, compassionate person with a wealth of knowledge about teaching and literacy. She always gives 110% of herself and has a work ethic second to none. It is my pleasure to present her tonight with the GC Pride Award. She truly is a shining star.
Good evening. Before we start, for those of you that don't know me, which is almost everybody at the table, my name is Liz Konar, and it has been an absolute honor to serve as the principal of Neil Armstrong as an interim principal. I have fallen in love. I met Jen Padula at our first sit meeting for the upcoming year. She suggested we run with an underlying theme at Neil Armstrong: new beginnings. SID is a new beginning. So is our construction, giving us new space, a new administrative team, and a new way to appreciate diversity and the plethora of cultures at Neil Armstrong. Behind all this good work is Jen. She is everyone's cheerleader. She is pragmatic, practical, and logical. Jen is also tender-hearted, responsive, and gracious. To her students, she sets high expectations. Jen is devoted to and she brings out their brilliance. Jen will leave no stone unturned to find a strategy that is compatible with the student's style of learning, their best learning pattern. Jen is a superstar that makes our school shine bright. Being recognized by the Board of Education tonight is well deserved. Thanks, Jen, for your radiance and love of all students.
Any changes, Superintendent Gillen? Personnel. Thank you. You're welcome. Moving on to board president comments. Brief comment, we have the Fall Family Festival tomorrow night, and we celebrate, support the child community. So thank you for being there, and looking forward to that event tomorrow night. Thank you very much. Moving on to points of interest. None this evening, so moving on to recorded meetings. John?
I had a chance to attend the Monroe County School Board Association Legislative Committee meeting next Wednesday. We're starting to develop our talking points for our federal and state legislators. We were very grateful for the federal monies and the state monies. The issue we have is the sustain. The state's made a promise to put in place what's called foundation aid bills. So we have that issue. We have the issue about bus driver qualification, finding substitute teachers. We have employment issues to bring up with our state.
Any other reports of meetings? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to visitor comments. H. Charlie Central School District Board of Education invites public comment at this time. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. We ask that individuals state their name and address prior to comments and utilize the podium microphone to address the board. Although the board will not respond directly to individual comments at this time, items brought to the attention of the board may be taken under consideration for future response or action. In order to comply with laws related to confidentiality, we ask that issues related to specific school district personnel or students be brought to the attention of the superintendent of schools privately. The board reserves the right to terminate a speaker's comments if his or her comments are in excess of 3 minutes, repetitive, or are not appropriate for discussion in an open public forum. First up tonight, Jeff Flynn.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. My name is Jeff Flynn. I'm from 18 Carriage House Lane in Coachella. I spent the last few weeks researching CRT being taught at Gate Charlotte. I've been sure this was not, but it's right there in the video, white privilege, systemic racism. I looked deeper into the Gate Charlotte School District site for the diversity, education, equity, and inclusion pages, not wanting to think my district would purposely teach racism, division, and hopelessness to kids. Sadly, they do. What's the definition of white privilege? White privilege, or white skin privilege, is a societal privilege that benefits white people over non-white people, particularly if they are otherwise under the same social, political, or economic circumstances. Must be noted, discrimination is illegal, and additionally, there are many civil rights given to minorities that are denied civil rights, such as affirmative action. This is specifically highlighted in the video. What's the definition of systemic racism? Systemic racism refers to the systems in place that perpetuate racial injustice. This means that processes, policies, and procedures exist that discriminate. CRT being taught by educational institution is an example of systemic racism against non-minorities. Where do these ideas come from? Critical race theory. That says all whites are racist and all blacks are oppressed, with no hope of succeeding on its own. It's right here on your graph. It's on the website. That 4-year-olds are racist. Let's consider. Page on your plan, the first reference site is from Abram X. Kendrick. Who is he? Well, first, he's a fraud. His real name is Andrew Rogers. His racist theories were derided when first proposed. Henry argues that any racial gap simply is racist by definition. Any policy that maintains such a gap is a racist policy, and most debatably, any intellectual explanation of its existence, societal culture, or so on is racist. For convenience, all a circular thing. No matter what you do, you're racist. He also championed the racist lie of white privilege. Just recently, in the last week, Henry tweeted the following: more than a third of white students lied about their race on college applications, and about half of these college applicants lied about being Native American. More than 3/4 of these students who lied about their race were accepted. Think about that. The whites lied and said they weren't white. Okay? He got blasted on Twitter and called out that this disproves white privilege and proves that the educational system is systematically racist against whites' nature, which it obviously is, especially in college. He deleted the tweet. In our school district, it's apparent that many people in power believe in these theories. Interestingly, many are white, yet fail, like Henry, to see their own hypocrisy. If you believe in these theories and are white, by definition, you're saying you're a racist. And why would we want a racist teaching our kids? I don't, and I'm not a racist. I, for one, do not believe these theories. I believe everybody has the ability to rise and learn. And I don't think this is the way to teach. I think we should be teaching the way Martin Luther King said. I have a dream that my 4 little children one day live in a nation where they're not judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I'm almost done. What exactly is the last thing I want to say is, U.S. News ranks child life 6,736 out of 21,000 schools for graduation rank, and 14,024 out of 17,857, the bottom 25th.
Mr. Quinn, I appreciate it. Wrap up.
Yes.
If you have that written down, you can send it to the board and we will.
Well, it's one sentence. One sentence. Many Rochester schools rank higher than this. We should be spending our time teaching the basics and not how to be a racist. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Charles Johnson.
I'm good for the moment, but good to see you guys again.
Okay, thank you very much. That's the end of visitor comments for this evening. Moving on to Neil Armstrong Elementary update.
We want to kick off our report when we present Carissa Binger, 5th grade teacher, who will present the H Child Life Pride Award to one of our students.
Thank you. I'm Carissa Binger. I'm one of the 5th grade teachers here at Neil Armstrong, and it's my pleasure to recognize Jayla. Jayla Wilson is one of our 5th grade students who has attended Neil Armstrong since she's been in kindergarten. She exemplifies every aspect of the Spartan way on a daily basis. Jayla is responsible. She's a responsible student who is compassionate and respectful to all of her peers and her teachers. She's always willing to go above and beyond to do anything needed in our classroom to help anyone who's in need. Jayla sets high goals for herself and works hard to achieve them. It is our pleasure tonight to recognize Jayla today for the shining star she is and continues to be at Neil Armstrong.
So this year at Neil Armstrong, we got together and we realized that it was the beginning of something new. Never before had we been shut down for a while, or doing remote learning, or doing hybrid learning. So when we got together in August, Mrs. Konar and I got together with our leadership team, and we sat down, and as Mrs. Konar indicated before, one of our teacher leaders came up with this embrace new beginnings while honoring those valued traditions. We have many valued traditions at Neil Armstrong. I've been an Armstrong star for a long time here, and there's many things we want to hold on to, but we realized that we have so many new things to be proud of. We had new relationships to build, new staff members, new construction. And at the same time, we had new staff members that were getting to know us, but at the same time, some of us who've been here for a long time realized that we have some new things to do too, because this is different for us coming back after being out for a while. So this became our vision. We sat down also and talked about our goals for the year. We looked at the district goals and mirrored our building goals on those district goals for student growth and, most importantly, equity. We wanted to promote that culturally responsive mindset. And by doing so, we're providing professional development within our building through our CIV team. We also have our district equity team that we have members on, our building equity team. We really are trying hard to all become educated in this area and move forward. We've also incorporated something that we started last year at the end of the year, a metaphor with windows and mirrors, which helps all of us understand better this culturally responsive mindset. We're meeting our students' needs, and we know that there are many ways that students need support. In addition to their academic supports, we realize that our support staff needs to partner with our instructional staff to make sure that we can get some of these students caught up, if you will. There's some unfinished learning that happened last year. And we're trying to fill those gaps and make sure that we can all have students who are successful.
Windows and mirrors metaphor. This is an essential message for the 2021-2022 school year. It is sophisticated enough for the adults at Neil Armstrong to run with, and it also can support our students at their level of perception. When we speak of windows, it is like looking out of the window in your home. What do we see? We see different places, different people, different cultures. All of these differences widen our world. Our classrooms act as a window to a greater world. When we speak of mirrors, we speak about ourselves. A mirror tells us who we are, it's what we know. We work on combining ourselves and the world around us. It's all about acceptance and appreciation, windows and mirrors. Hey, what's new at Neil Armstrong? This is a shot of our large parking lot in the front of the building. It also shows you the secure entrance that we now have, and it has a road that now connects the back lot to the visitor lot. Now, this is a closer view of our hallway. And if you look at the second slide in our hallway, you will see our logo, and you will also see the Spartan Way. It's very, very large. It looks like a giant spark away, but it is a gentle reminder. And people pass it continuously throughout the day. And it's just always there reminding us. We now have the expanded faculty room. And it is fabulous because staff, teachers can eat their lunch there. They have informal meetings there. They can do lesson preparation. And they just have great conversation without it being in a formal setting. The health office suite, and that now includes a shower, exam room, and laundry facilities. Our mental health suite, that brings all of the social, emotional, professionals together so they can streamline to student needs. And they work very closely together. And it's also, which we don't have a picture of, we have Clover. Clover is our therapy dog. And I think some of the best pictures we could have shown you at another time are students reading to Clover. And Clover is all attentive. And there is a line going out down the hallway in the morning so people can pet Clover and say good morning. And it's just such a wonderful way to start each day. Okay, now I'll get back to the script. Okay. So, we have our ESL suite. And our ESL suite enables both students and the ESL teachers to connect and to learn. And the teachers also connect with our families, our ESL families, to meet their needs as they acclimate to new surroundings. Our goal is to make them feel as though this has always been their home.
So again, building new relationships by fostering and renewing old ones. One of the things that we were able to do this year was to welcome families back in our building. Made us very happy to hear the voices, hear the laughter, and have people here. One of the things we did at Meet the Teacher Night, we tried to make sure that parents had the opportunity to come in and still feel safe. We had different sessions scheduled for them, so they had 3 different sessions, meeting in their child's classroom, meeting in the gymnasium with support staff, and then here in the cafeteria, something very important that was a response to a survey that we gave parents, where the parents indicated that they really wanted more information about our social emotional learning. So we had our mental health staff here doing a presentation for them. This year, we're working hard to rebuild our PTO. We want everyone to feel welcome. We're recruiting new membership, and we're trying to make those meetings more accessible to everyone through Zoom sometimes, and we're also hoping to offer some babysitting and things like that so we can recruit more membership. For the first time in a long time, we were able to hold a PTO-sponsored event. A couple of weeks ago, we had a trunk or treat, which was one of our most successful ever. We had, I think, 20 cars. We had several staff members and teachers donate baskets so we could have a raffle and made some money to put towards field trips and things that students need. We partnered with the fire department, Gates Fire Department and police. They were there to help us out. It was a wonderful evening. These are just some pictures that I thought you might enjoy seeing. The first day of school where we had staff members collaborating and just rekindling those old relationships and building new ones. We had our students doing the same thing. We had to take time to give them time to do that. Oops. So there's many traditions. We've listed a few here that we want to hold on to. So many things that we do here at Neil Armstrong that, we're not getting rid of everything that we have. These are some pictures of our trunk or treat. We started this there. And some traditions that we've had. One that's coming up, we have a fire escape contest. And one of the students when the family gets to ride to school on the fire truck. And that's really cool. Our sing-along, holiday sing-along, and some of the things that we do throughout the year that are our traditions. And now I have some fifth graders who want to come up and introduce one of our valued traditions. You want to come up? So who's going to speak first? Come up so that everybody can see you. Come up a little closer. As we can see you. Come on.
Hello, my name is Jayla. Rachel Lefebvre. Colin Goon. Lonnie Scott. Abraham Moore. Tyler Redford. We are fifth graders at Neil Armstrong, and some of us have been here since preschool. One of the Armstrong traditions that help make our school a great place is our school song.
As our song says, we are proud to be here at Neil Armstrong School, BOE, praise build the year. Please enjoy this video with some of our 4th and 5th grade chorus students singing our school song for you.
We are proud to be here at Neil Armstrong School, so hear our praise fill the air. We can laugh, we can sing, and accomplish anything with teachers who show they care. This is a place where we can come each day to learn what we want to be. We take pride in our past and make friendships that will last in classrooms where we are free. When we are grown and out on our own, we will remember when our school was there to help us learn to share, so we never felt alone. Our dreams come true, that's what they're meant to do. At Neil Armstrong, our favorite school.
Thank you. And we'd like to say a big thank you to Dr. Foley, who helped to record the chorus and work the report.
Moving on to capital improvement update.
Good evening, Board. Superintendent Daly. Phase 1.5, high school auditorium, still on schedule for middle of January turnover. Work completed so far in October, blacktop parking lots are all done, plantings are all done, sod is in. Sprinkler system is up and running in the new area. Heating circulation pumps and all the air handlers are up and running, each on in the building. If you want to go to the next picture, they can start seeing some picture maybe. Work projected in November, ductwork will be wrapped up in the next couple of weeks. Roofers have about 2 days worth of edge metal. That picture right there, sharp. You guys can get into the auditorium, they got the side lights on, and they change colors. Storefronts and glazing will be complete in the next 2 weeks, and seating is due in about 3 weeks from now. Ceilings are underway, and we should have, there's your wood ceilings in the front lobby. That work's all complete. Fire alarm testing is scheduled for the last week of December. I know that's farther out than November, but that'll be one of the last pieces we have to do in there. So first couple weeks of January, everything should be in. Right now, we have one back-ordered item. It's 5 lights for your stage, and that's it. Other than that, everybody's telling me everything is on schedule. Terrazzo, you can start to see their infill in the hallway floors. Terrazzo starts next week. They did most of the mitigation last week and the first part of this week. That's about it. Everything else is closed out. There's punch list items at this school, and Walt Disney will be completed Thursday. There's just a few miscellaneous items, and Thursday there's no kids in here, so we'll wrap them up. This project's closed out. Half of the closed out documents are already at SEI, so this one's on schedule. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you, Lester.
Good evening. Is this on? Can you hear me? Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Board of Education. Thank you for having us tonight. I am Assistant Superintendent for Business, Mitchell Ball. This is Christopher Daly, Superintendent. So we're here to talk about the potential referendum for public vote on February 2nd, 2022. A new capital project that we're looking at. Tonight, what we're going to cover is kind of where we've been, where we're at now, and hopefully where we're going moving into the future. By the end of the night, really what we're trying to do is give the board a good understanding of what's included in the proposed project, including not only the scope, but the value, so that on December 7th, the board can vote to put out a referendum to the public on February 2nd, 2022. So really what we're trying to do today is to go over all that. And at the end, if you have any questions or want to have some conversation about some things, now is the time to do it, because really by December 7th, we need to have a resolution before the board if we want to make that deadline of February 2nd. Because there's a whole bunch of legal requirements that we have to meet in order to get it. Okay? So with that, we'll start with introductions and then go through these things on the agenda you see there. Okay. Would you like to introduce yourself, or would you like me to introduce you?
Mark Esposito with Campus Construction Management Group. Chris Carlo from our Conduit Incorporated, District Municipal Advisor. Joe Pilato with Campus Construction Management Group. Kurt Vader with SEI Design Group. And Brian Smolinski with SEI.
Okay, again, if we can't answer some of the questions that you have, they're here to help support us, but generally speaking, we'll be doing most of the time. So when thinking about the project, we've been over this at another board meeting. There's really 3 phases. We're in the first phase right now. We're in the where we're visioning and talking about what we need for educational spaces. From here, after referendum, then we get into design. So right now, when we're talking about, as you'll see, we're going to present some scope items, different portions of the potential project. We're not getting into the nitty-gritty of where doors are going to be located and exactly who's going to be in different spaces. What we're talking about right now is kind of a very high-level view, so that if the project is approved, then we'll start getting user groups together to really dive into what it is these spaces are going to look like. So again, that happens during schematic design. And then we will bid out the project. And from there, we're going to go through a whole process of putting it through state ed. Well, we have to do that before bidding. So we'll put it to state ed, and then we'll bid it out, and then we'll start construction. You want to talk about the history?
Yes.
Okay.
So in our past projects, we did the high school roof, track and field, Brasser, we had our UPK classroom edition, middle school upgrades. That, from what we understand, are being put up for national awards. Our Paul Road, Florence Brasser upgrades, the amazing auditorium that should be finished on time, and music room upgrades, as well as Walt Disney and Neil Armstrong upgrades. So priorities. Building condition surveys helped shape this for us from 2010, 15, and 21. And we have many ongoing facility needs, just like at our homes. You need to maintain and plan. And so when it comes to prudent, sound financial planning, I always turn it over to Mitch.
So really, one of the main things we want to look at when thinking about capital planning is how are we creating a long-term capital plan so that we can maintain our facilities at the highest standards for student and staff safety and for the instructional programs that we're looking to share with our community. The other thing to point out is that we want to maintain a good capital reserve so that when we do put projects out to vote, there's little or no tax impact, which is a big goal of this project, is to have, at least in the designing of the financing of the project, to have no tax impact. Now, when we say little, the reason why there could be a slight tax impact is because we don't know certain state aid factors and how certain things are going to shake out in the end. But from a planning perspective, we're really trying to get to a place where we have no tax impact. So the planning process. I know that the board has been over this before, but these are the things that we did in order to plan for this. And we really started about a year ago at this point, almost a year ago. We started having conversations about this project and what it might look like. And we met with principals, assistant principals. We met with the architects to talk about what was in the last project that maybe didn't get included and talk about what the building priorities are specific to the buildings where we are able to do work right now. Again, we looked at the BCS. That's a state requirement that we do a BCS every 5 years. And the reason why that's a state requirement is that the state wants us to be doing ongoing capital work to keep our buildings at a high and safe level. So that down the road, we don't have to have huge outlays of taxpayer dollars in order to do capital work. Overall value of our BCS that we just completed this year is about $104 million. Now that number is a big number. Those aren't necessarily things that we have to take care of this year, next year, or even 10 years from now. These are things that are on the BCS right now that we know we're going to have to take care of in the future. So even if we replace something 10 years ago and it has a 20-year life, it's going to still show up on our BCS because it's something that we know is there and is identified and will be a capital need down the road. And so really from a priority perspective, up to about $4 million are things in the buildings where we're proposing work, up to $4 million of BCS work within those specific buildings. So the next thing we did is, again, we evaluated educational programmatic impacts, evaluate various UPK and district office options. One of our goals for this project is to bring some UPK students back into the district. And so as you'll see in a minute, up to 4 classrooms coming back into where the current administration building is. And we're doing it there because then it becomes aidable, it becomes an instructional space. Right now it's not an aidable space. So if we were to do any work in that area, we wouldn't be getting aid on it. Because we can bring it, we can turn it into an instructional space, we can now get aid on it if we do that. And we know that we want to bring those kids back to the district. So it would be approximately 72 kids that we'd be bringing back from our community partner in PH. We generate an initial scope project list based on building level feedback, and then we evaluated the financial impacts. Early scope discussions. So, again, we're looking to bring UPK back here. Although students are currently in the Gage Child District and our community partner, we want to bring them back onto district grounds and have our kids here in our buildings. And so what this would do is it would incorporate them into the current administrative building. And we'd also look to add a playground. I know it's kind of hard to see, but that's this area right here currently. Again, these might not be final locations for things, but the scope would include a UPK playground. And then also to address priority initiatives from the building condition survey. We're going to go over those priority items towards the end of this session. Yep, so that's the other thing to point out is that we'd also be looking to incorporate concession stand and restrooms within this building, because right now we don't have a very robust concession stand. So we'd be looking to build that into this building and tie in the current facilities into that building, recognizing that we're also going to be addressing the parking lot that is out in front of that stadium right now. That's currently something that we're working on. So this would tie everything together in this area so that when people use our fields, we have that concession stand available. So when thinking about the high school, I don't know when the last time you've been to the technology rooms was, but those technology rooms are in significant need of updating. And so that is definitely an area of focus for this project. And it was something that was called out in the last project that due to financial considerations, we weren't able to get to. So it's something that we're looking to do in this next project. And then again, allocating administrative offices to what was the West Side Academy, moving the administrative area over to them. One thing I will point out is that currently part of the plan is for the TPS department to stay in the current administrative building, but the rest of the district office to move over to the high school. Again, addressing 2021 building positions for the office. What's that?
And the registrars.
Yep, registrar as well. So this is the middle school. When thinking about the middle school, also two areas that were left off in the last project that we knew needed to be addressed were the aging music and technology classrooms. So what we'd be looking to do is flip-flop those areas so that music would go over to the south side and technology would go to the north side. We'd look at a multi-purpose field to include up to 2 soccer fields, baseball and softball, potentially overlaying other fields as needed, and also addressing priority initiatives. One other thing I forgot to point out in that is that we'll also be adding some parking. Now it's not going back. There we go. Down here, we'd be looking to add some parking as well. Lastly, we'd be looking at Florence Brasser Elementary School. We know that we've significantly addressed although we have a secure main entry at Florence Brasser, it hasn't been updated in quite a while. And so all other 3 elementary buildings during the last project had new secure main entries put in place with new main offices. We'd be looking to do that at Florence Brasser as well. And in doing that, we're going to flip-flop some areas between what you see in the green. So now the main entry would be in this area. So you come in off of the bus loop, because we're talking about flip-flopping the bus loop with the parking over here. So you come in off of the bus loop and enter the secure main entry. And then we'd be flip-flopping some spaces and renovating what's currently the main office for AIS and potentially classrooms. Revising the bus loop and parking area is a major consideration. I believe the road is Del Rio. Did I have that name right? What's the road here? I'm forgetting that. Laredo. I got it backwards. Not Del Rio, Laredo. Thank you. So we know that traffic backs up significantly on Laredo Drive during pickup and drop off. So we know that that's something that we need to address and are hoping to do that in this project. Addressing BCS.
Would that, and Chris, would that include moving nursing down to the main entrance as well, or leaving nursing where they are?
So that's still in development. We don't have a final answer on that. We're developing where things are going to exactly fall at this time.
That's in the conversation though.
It is. Okay. So when thinking about the BCS, these are the things that have been identified in that up to $4 million. At the UPK administrative building, we know that we want to do generator and electrical upgrades, water service upgrades. High school, certain roofs need replacement, flooring abatement, ventilation, and HVAC systems. and then some exterior door replacement. At the middle school, we need some ventilation and HVAC systems control upgrades. The reason why it says, up to $4 million is because some of these things we're looking to potentially upgrade with the American Recovery Plan funds. It's currently in our plan to upgrade some of those things. That federal money allows for us to upgrade ventilation systems as part of making clean air for COVID-related purposes. Remove fuel tank. We know that there's an old fuel tank behind the building that needs to be removed. Replace water heaters, stage lighting, and replace and upgrade the PA system. Florence Brasser ventilation and HVAC. We know we have some work to do on that. Generator electrical upgrades, fire alarm upgrades, and stage lighting upgrades. We highlighted the line there up top on the left, potential. That was important to point out so that everyone knows that these aren't guaranteed things that we're going to do. They're things that we've identified as potentially being significant needs over the next couple of years. And those needs can shift. And again, one thing I'll also point out that you'll notice is that we're only focusing on the buildings that we're actually doing work in. Because when we submit paperwork to state aid, we're thinking about how much aidability we have within those buildings currently. So we only want to do work where we're going to get aid back on the work that we do. The proposed referendum value, $45,500,000. In front of you, Krista Carlo, here from DPD, provided an update on the financials for the project. Again, this is a pre-vote estimate of how the financials could pan out. I know at the last meeting we handed out one of these. Our final number has been adjusted slightly, but not significantly, and it will have no impact again hopefully no impact again on the cash flow. Current building aid ratio at 81%. So when thinking about the aidability, Bernie Donegan's office, when they help us with assessing the financial impact, they look at the project being 95% aidable. And so anything that's aidable, we get 81% back from the state in building. Maximum cost allowance and aidability of project, that's what I'm speaking to. Are you good with that statement? Okay, good. Utilize capital reserve and fund balance. That's one thing that's important to us. We have a $15 million capital reserve that we'd be using to help finance this project to offset the local share. Existing level of debt service and local share, same thing. District's bond rating, again, that could change if our bond rating changes. I don't foresee that happening in the next few years, for sure, based on our current financial trajectory. But if that were to change, that could change. If there is some impact, that could change the impact to the community. I don't see that being the case. And again, little to no impact on the tax levy. Okay, so we are November 9th right now. What we're looking for is on December 7th to have the Board of Ed authorize the effort, so that on February 2nd we can put a referendum out to the public for vote. From there, we'll start designing, and that's when we really get those user groups together and having conversations about what spaces are going to look like in finer detail. So at this point, I'd like to open it up for questions, comments, thoughts, considerations. Yes.
Mitch, you said the number changed, the final number changed last time. What's the difference?
So it's about $400,000 in scope, and the reason why is we went over the initial plans one more time, and we made a couple tweaks in consideration of all the conversations that we've had with user groups within the district. Increase. But again, the goal is to have no tax impact. Little to none. I mean, hopefully it's none. But there are some things out of our control. By the time we put this out to bid, it could be a year from now, or longer, could be, depending on state ed approval, which knowing how state ed is staffing these days, it's hard to know if they're gonna have enough architects to review. I think they're down to 2 architects reviewing projects right now. Is that currently where they're at?
They just started, she started Monday.
So they have 3 now. One person is brand new, and so there's 700-ish districts, a little less than 700 now, in the state, and you have 3 people reviewing projects across the state. So, it's really dependent on how quickly they can move. Yes?
Mention the parking at Brasher, switching possibly the bus routes and parking.
Yep.
About how many spaces would that increase for parking?
Well, so that's the thing. We talked about this yesterday, actually. And really, this is not a final design, so I can't speak to exactly how many spaces it's going to increase right now. But really what has to happen is we have to do a traffic study over there. We'll use a consulting, the architects will use a consulting firm to do that. And after the traffic study, we'll be able to determine not only how many people are parking over there regularly and at the high points and the low points, but also what's happening on Laredo and how we're gonna flow traffic to put a final design in place. But we do know that we need to address it, and we're gonna do it as best we can, given the resources we have.
I think the biggest problem in Laredo seems to be on special ed days. Yeah, it's a tight spot.
Yes, sir.
Have you, so special needs parking against the size of the space, I'm sure there's ratios.
Yes.
And have you gone beyond that and told the building to see what their special needs parking requirements are?
By special needs, do you mean handicap
Yes.
parking?
Yes.
Again, we'll have to look specifically at that as we get into the discussions regarding the building. And once they do the study, we'll be able to determine who's parking where, and we'll have more conversations.
So you are gonna check what the actual needs are versus
Absolutely.
what the state regs are.
Well, we do both. And we do that in conjunction with the architects.
Yeah, we'll go through that. This is an incredibly dynamic thing right now. As you guys are dealing with, and I should stand up, I think I'm loud enough, let me know if I'm not. As we're changing COVID and the reality of parents dropping off, that's changing the dynamic of the traffic flow here. This has always been an issue of people staging up and down Laredo, right? And the buses coming through off the main drag. So the idea initially was to make this switch. As we've gone to COVID and you got more parents driving, we need to do a little more analysis of this. But you need to know that we're allocating the funding to not only do what you see, but also expand that parking lot to the north of Page, I'll call it, which is actually east, which will allow us to bring buses in a little bit differently. And we have to work with the village and the town there so that, we can get our traffic in and out of the roads. We're not backing up the main drag. So suffice it to say, we're working through that. We're gonna do some traffic discussions, see how that dynamic's changing as COVID changes that dynamic, and then turn around and work with them so we don't back up roadways. So I think you're gonna see this change more than you see the diagram as existing today.
And I think that's one interesting thing to point out too, is that even with the $68 million project, if you were to look back at the conceptual designs before vote, they look a lot different than what we finally implement because we start having those user groups. They're just gonna be transparent. That's really when we start paying our architects, is after the public says, yes, we want to engage in the work. Then they start diving in and doing all the studies and research that they need to do to make sure that it meets the needs of the district. And so we know this is a need, but we don't have all of the details yet on exactly what it's gonna look like.
I just remember we had this conversation the last time around, and I don't know if it was a financial thing that went to the wayside or barriers that we couldn't have. I don't remember what it was.
I think it was the former. Because the project scope weaned down from, around 100 million down to 68 million. So essentially a third of the project, was eliminated. Any other questions?
Any answers?
Anything further you need to feel comfortable on December 7th? That's the important piece.
and take and pull together. To kind of use information. If you have any other questions, we'll get them to you.
Thank you, sir. All right, have a great evening. Is everybody done?
No, check, need it back over here. They need it.
All right. Get update.
Our district improvement team. We met on October 27th, the first meeting. We had great updates from the buildings on what they're doing right now to achieve our district goals. We shared from the district level about our Neil Armstrong principal search going. That we'll be doing a code of conduct update this year. We'll be advertising for budget ambassadors, which will be coming out in our award-winning newsletter that will hit the streets at the end of this month. Celebrated our top workplace being recognized again nationally for our diversity practices. Discussed our Fall Family Fest, which we're excited to have tomorrow night. Encourage people to participate in the coat drive. Discuss our NISTRO awards that we received for bits of budget with ball, as well as our budget newsletter. And then give them an update on where we are with the COVID-19 district update. We set future meetings, December 15th. We'll be discussing the capital project along with our HR recruitment and retention practices. February 16th, we'll be discussing a district equity update. April 13th, we'll be doing a preview of the budget. And then June 15th, the year in review. So it's great attendance and looking forward to seeing everybody again in December.
Thank you very much. Moving on to motion to approve the consensus agenda. Motion, please. Ms. Johnson and Dr. Richards. Questions or comments? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on to motion to approve consensus items C through H. Motion, please. Ms. Ty and Mr. Wong, questions or comments? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. And Ms. Bravo.
Thank you. We have two retirements to acknowledge tonight. The first of our teacher retirements for the year has rolled in. Deb Pendino, who is an elementary teacher at Florence Brasser, will be retiring at the end of the school year with 22 years of service to the district. We wish her well. Additionally, John Soderman, who is a familiar face to many of us, who has worked as a security worker for us for the last 15 years, has submitted his letter, and he is now officially retired as well. So we wish them both well in retirement, and we thank them for their service.
Thank you very much. Moving on to superintendent comments.
So again, tomorrow night, if you can make it, from 5:30 to 7:30 in our high school gymnasium. A great tradition of our Smart Way coat drive will be available for families to pick up coats, hats, gloves, and mittens. There'll be musical performances and community groups and more. A huge thank you to Suzanne Goff and her team for putting this together. A lot of community partners will be there, including Robert Wesleyan College, Children Leading Parents, American Lung Association, Villa Hope. We will have our nationally recognized Human Resources Office there offering positions to people that qualify. And if you don't think you're qualified, come in and we'll figure it out. Well, chiropractors there, Girls Rocks there, the GC Education Foundation, Open Door Mission, RIT, GC Transportation Department, our Gates Volunteer Ambulance, our Gates Police Department, Roads to Recovery, Gates Fire District, SEPTO, Grace the Arts, A Touch of Dance, the Sheriff's Office, Walmart Vision Center will be there, If you want to get certified to be in driver's ed, come on down, we'll be there. Our public libraries will be there, as well as Samurai Martial Arts, Gates Metro's Youth Soccer, Junior Spark Football, our high school peer leaders, the Y, our music, Boy Scouts, Maryland's Learning Farm and Garden are just among the many people that will be involved tomorrow evening for our community. Want to wish tonight good luck to a couple of our outstanding fall athletes. Kira Pellegrino will be competing in the New York State Cross Country Championships this Saturday at Shenango Valley State Park. Also, Rebecca Breedy will compete in the spring at the state gymnastics meet. The state gymnastics meet not being until the spring. So go Spartans, good luck. We'll be watching for you. And our testing update. Last week, we had 0 students that we tested come up positive. We did have 1 staff member. I'm excited to say that we're working alongside Monroe County Department of Health to hopefully soon allow a test to stay for unvaccinated students in quarantine. We should have updates next week on where we're progressing with that with the county in hopes that that will become a practice so that we can have more kids in school on a regular basis. And last, the high school highlight. Proud to share that 6 Gage High seniors were recognized for their academic achievements today when they received an academic scholarship to attend SUNY Brockport. Brockport's Instant Decision Day was held in the newly revamped College and Career Center at the high school. Of the 6 Spartans, 4 received green scholarships valued at $10,000 over 4 years, and 2 of them received the gold scholarship, which is valued at $18,000 over 4 years. Additionally, 1 student received a coveted spot in the direct entry nursing program. Congratulations to these Spartans on their accomplishments, and thank you to SUNY Brockport for partnering with us. That is my report, sir.
Thank you very much. Moving on. Motion to adjourn. Ms. Guy, Dr. Richards, all in favor? Vote is unanimous. We are adjourned.